We talk about Moesha.
Ah,
Legacy, oh, legacy, oh.
you can do everything. So now, do nothing. I was like, I'm an award-winning actress. You want me to do nothing?
You wanted to win.
I wanted to win.
Is that what you're taking with you every single time you hit the stage?
Every single time. I want to make it. I want to be here.
It's such a great line when you say, you know, your dad loves you, your brother loves you, and
I love you.
I love you too.
Legacy, oh, legacy.
So happy to have you.
Thank you. Good to be here with you.
Thank you for joining me. I think what I try to do in preparing, it's about wanting to start at the beginning, truly.
The beginning.
I know, right. I think about the beginning as flagship beginnings. Uh-oh, we're filming. It's okay, go ahead. You good out there. Of course, your son comes in.
There you
Which,
go.
you know, I'll talk about him. He and I, as you know, built such a strong friendship meeting
Yes.
at the Coffee Bean, like up the street from my house.
Yes.
It was just all love, and he was telling me his story, and you being his mom was just a part of that. And I just sort of got to know you, I think, in a way by befriending your son. He's such an amazing human. You have two amazing children. So I think that's actually the beginning where we should start. So kudos to him for walking in with water. We're at his place of business, Walk Good.
Yes.
So what a beautiful journey.
Etienne has a great spirit,
Mm-hmm.
a great heart, and he's a natural connector.
Yes.
He is going to, Etienne could be in a completely strange land,
Yeah.
walk through a crowd, and come out on the other side and say, look at my new friend.
Yes.
Look who I went to school with. You've got to meet this person. And he has always been like that. So to me, it's so amazing when people say, you are who you are. That is absolutely true, because he was just born that way.
In my preparation for this conversation with you, I wanted to talk to him. And what he said to me was that you are a great connector.
I am.
That's what he said. He said, my mom can connect with anyone. That is such a through line. There's a lot of through lines as I look at the work. People are drawn to you. There's something that feels very natural and very real, but at the same time, you're still a star, you're still an actress. So there's a regalness to you as well that is more than the average person, which speaks to why you're on screen and why you're on stage. But to go back to your flagship, as I was looking at your work, I was like, I think that for you, in a way, is Dreamgirls.
Oh, absolutely.
And what's interesting about it is I did not have the blessing of being born at the time where I could go see it in person. I think of that show as a miracle because there's so much joy in it. It's the beginning of something. There's a shift in culture, but it also represents a sadness and a grief as well in terms of who helped to bring it to life, sort of lost their lives in a way that...
Which was very difficult for me.
Of course,
You know,
course.
to
I
be
can't imagine.
a young person. First of all, I'm a child of the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you face things like racism
Yeah.
head on,
Mm-hmm.
where people want you to know how different you are,
Right.
how people want to tell you what you can and cannot do,
Right.
who want to provide limits for you when, of course, you have great ability to go far beyond those limits, but they want to tell you, no, you stop here just because of the color of your skin. So I know what it is like to be othered. So here I am now, living my life's dream on Broadway.
Right.
And my friends start dropping dead. They start dropping dead of this disease that has no name.
Right.
I was like, wait a minute. Is nobody going to say anything about what's going on? And to have people look at me and tell me, shut up. Nobody's going to like you talking about this, talking about AIDS. But of course, it didn't have a name then. It was just
Right.
called GRID, Gay-Related Immune Deficiency Disease, right? And nobody wanted to talk about it. And it was just like such a horrible silence that just fell over Broadway.
In the midst of that, you are still having to be an artist.
Yeah.
You know, you have to go on stage and you are originating a role. I'm curious about what is your process to bring Dina to life every night on stage, even in the midst of the devastation that you just spoke about.
I know Dina. I am Dina. And Dina would fight too, because Dina became strong enough to fight for herself.
Mm-hmm.
Sheryl became strong enough to know that her voice should be heard.
What was the audition process like for Dreamgirls?
That was great. It was traumatizing,
I'm sure.
but it was great. I had done a musical called Reggae, which was an absolute flop. Yeah, I think we might have opened when the newspaper strike happened and closed when the garbage strike happened, or something
Right.
beyond. It was something horrible, right? And how I got that role was I had been fired from another musical. They left us on the road. They literally left us on the road in Delaware at the DuPont Theater. And they left us, and they left the 4 Black kids a note and said, stylistically, you no longer fit into the show. And they left us.
Wow.
And went to the Kennedy Center. They were a flop too. They closed.
Okay.
But I was so hurt, and I remember I was crying the ugly cry, you know, the one where your nose hurts.
Yes.
You can't even touch your nose. You've cried so hard.
Yes.
And my friend Jeffrey is on the phone saying, Sheryl, Lord God, I've been trying to reach you. Girl, get on the first thing, smoking out of Delaware. They're firing the leading lady in this musical. She can't sing. She can't act. You can sing. You can act. Come on, girl. You have to be here tomorrow morning.
Wow.
Just like in a movie.
Right.
So I show up in the alley of the Biltmore Theater with my little suitcase, having taken the bus
Come on.
from Delaware to Broadway. I get there, and I remember, I think it was Kiki Shepard, I think Vanessa Bell
Kiki Shepard,
Calloway.
who's like always, remind us to rub the truck for luck. at the
Exactly.
Apollo. Yeah.
So there they all are hanging out outside, and Michael Butler comes out. Michael Butler had a big hit called Hair.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes out and he hands me a script. And he says, come in. And I go in and he says, okay.
Wow.
I don't even know who I read with. So I read, and then I meet Michael Kamen, who is the musical director, and they give me a song, Everything That Touches You. You say you're all alone with visions all your own. The things you feel, nobody feels the same. And I remember I sang it, and Michael Butler looks at me and he says, great, you're hired. That's how I got to Broadway. Well, imagine us in a theater that seats maybe, 1,200 people?
Uh-huh.
Here it is, a Sunday matinee, and there may be, 12 people in the audience?
Wow.
But one of those people was Tom Ian. And Tom Ian comes backstage and he says, the show is terrible, but you are not. And here's your next job.
Wow.
Be here on Monday. And it was 890 Broadway. So I go there to 890, and this time all of these women are just pouring into this place. And I'm walking behind Loretta Devine.
Wow.
Because Loretta Devine was already somebody.
Come on.
I'm just fascinated because
Wow.
I'm walking behind Loretta Devine.
That's amazing.
And we get into the place, and we're sitting there, and I'm hearing these women. They're not singing. It's an emotional experience. They're singing.
Yeah.
And they're literally, the building in my mind is levitating with the vibrations. I go in and they ask me to sing something from church. I think they thought I was a Baptist
Oh,
and didn't know I'm a little Episcopalian girl.
wow.
So I sang Ave Maria.
Come on.
So when I finished, there was silence. And I was asked to leave, and I sat down to wait. And I'm hot, and I'm angry, because I did Ave Maria.
And you feel like they weren't feeling it.
I know in my mind, they were not feeling it.
Okay.
How could you feel it when the likes of a Loretta Devine or a, oh my God, you just name it, goes in there and sings? That's not me. They come out and they say, Ramona Brooks, Loretta Devine. I get my stuff and I'm getting ready to book. Sheryl Lee Ralph.
Come on.
I was like, oh my God, now sit down. And then the drama's there. Now, this is like everlasting drama. They say, if I call your name, today's your day. If I don't, thank you very much.
Who's this person?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
After you've sung your heart out and waited all doggone day. Anyway, I stay, and at the end I said to Tom Ian, I said, Tom, why me? He says, well, I have the one that sings like this. I have the one that sings like this.
Right.
And then there's you, who sings like this. So, just the way I wrote it.
Wow. Wow.
And that's what that process was like.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. This month, I'm focusing on the people in my life who always have my back, like my incredible friends and chosen family. But it's just as important to turn that gratitude inward and recognize the effort we put into our own lives every day. Taking time for self-care isn't always easy, but making your mental health a priority is one of the best ways to show yourself some kindness. That's where BetterHelp can make a difference. Therapy offers a chance to slow down, reflect, and give yourself the care you deserve. I know reaching out can feel intimidating, like we're supposed to handle everything on our own, but you don't have to. Therapy isn't about having all the answers. It's about connecting with someone who can help you gain perspective and build tools to navigate life's ups and downs. BetterHelp makes it easy to find a therapist who fits your needs, wherever you are. It's okay to ask for help. In fact, choosing to focus on your mental well-being is one of the most important ways to show your self-appreciation. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LegacyTalk today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LegacyTalk. When did it click for people? When did you realize, okay, finally, people are getting it now? What
I
was
don't
that
know
moment?
if I ever saw that until we got that next piece of money that took us on the road and we got to New Haven. But anybody in rehearsal that heard Jennifer Holliday sing, how could you not know that you were listening to something that was just unearth-like? This was just something very special. And you can still hear people sing, and I'm telling you, to this day, it'll never be what it was like to hear the gut-wrenching emotion of a human being that says, you're gonna love me. You see some things from artists and you think, whoa.
So did you feel that all the work and process and preparation and traveling, did you feel validated by that nomination?
I felt so validated, but I also learned so many different things about awards. What people don't understand about awards and placement is they put you in different places, right?
Yeah.
So they said, okay, Jennifer is going to be in lead actress.
Okay.
They said, you should be in lead actress. But if you're in supporting actress,
You have a better shot?
you have a better shot.
Mm-hmm.
But they wanted somebody else to get that shot, but it didn't happen
For supporting.
for supporting.
Wow.
So they put both of us
In lead.
in lead, knowing exactly what they thought was going to happen, except the other one didn't happen. But guess what? It doesn't matter. I will forever be a Tony-nominated actress.
Absolutely.
And as of right now, having won the Emmy, people always say, Tony winner, Emmy winner.
You're like, look, I don't have to correct you.
I don't need to correct you.
I don't need to correct you on that
Thank
one.
you.
It's
Not
okay.
at all.
It's
Not at all. Because the show did win. Thank you.
Come on.
So
Come on. Well, not only did it win, it endured.
it still does.
It endured.
And it's the kind of show that everybody wants to play. Now, we know that it is about the dreams of 3 young Black women.
Yeah.
And very often when people do the show, they get it all wrong because they don't understand the trajectory of these women. Why are the girls 3 obviously Black girls in the beginning? Because it's harder for those girls to break the barrier.
Right.
They have to be twice as good
Yeah.
in order to make it. It is not until the second act that you add the light-skinned girl because they've already crossed over. So now they're acceptable.
Correct.
But people always miss that.
Is it frustrating when you originate something and have to watch it be interpreted by
Yes.
different people?
Yes.
How do you make peace with it? Because in a way, it's like you started it, you began this journey, and you're happy that people are still excited by it and that people still want to see it.
Yes.
And that these characters have endured.
Yes.
Is it sort of this double consciousness?
It's a dual consciousness, yes, but also you just wait until it's your turn to direct the show and show them what the show
Actually
should
is.
be.
Yeah. I receive
Yeah,
it. I hear
you just wait
I
for
hear
those
you.
moments because they will come.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we leap to you being on screen, please? Can we do that? There's a movie I watched of yours last night that Etienne recommended I watch. It's called To Sleep with Anger. I was really riveted. It's saying so much about our families
Yes.
and who we welcome into our homes and traditions. And I think there's a very interesting thing in that film. You play a working mom, you play a wife. It feels very present, your character. But what's happening is they're trying to bring her back to the past and have her be relegated to a certain position in the kitchen, serving the men of the family. I wanted to ask you...
That's an important scene, too.
Absolutely.
Because I had to fight for that scene. It was running late. It was the last day, and they had not shot the scene. And this is when I learned to speak up. And they were not going to shoot the scene. And I was about to cry. And I didn't cry. I picked up my things, because when you're on location on a small film, sometimes you're walking.
Yeah.
Picked up my stuff and I walked and I left the set, went straight to my trailer, my little space, and I put my clothes on. And I was getting in my car. And they said, "Where are you going?" Danny Glover came down. He said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going home." He said, "You going home?" I said, "I'm going home."
Wow.
If you don't shoot this scene, what have I been here for?
Wow.
This scene is important.
Absolutely.
It's important. And he said, okay. Then Charles Burnett comes down, who's the director.
Yes.
Great director. And Charles says, and he looks at Danny and he says, "We got to shoot the scene."
Come on.
They shoot everything else. They now have 30 minutes. 30 minutes
Wow.
to shoot the scene. Charles says, "Don't worry. You've got this." And he puts all the guys on one side, puts the camera on the other side. So all he does is he pans
Yeah.
and just follows me. And when you get to the end, I've dropped the bowl.
Yeah.
And when I looked at it, I was like, oh my God. I knew it was an important scene.
Yeah.
I saw it differently, but just in that, within 30 minutes.
It's a film with a very dark tone.
Yeah.
And I'm curious what your relationship was like with Charles in terms of finding that character and working with him.
There's something so wonderful when a director likes you, when a director respects your art. Charles Burnett wanted me in that role. He wanted me to be and look
Oh, yeah.
exactly the way I look.
Very important.
It's once again always fighting that thing about shade. I remember something, the comment was made, well, if she was Halle Berry's shade. And I was like, that's a beautiful shade, but that's not my shade. There's nothing wrong with my shade.
Right.
So when people talk about, do I see change in the industry? Hell yeah, I see change in the industry. I see it every day.
This is a part of why we have these conversations to give people things to go and look at and see the real breadth of your journey and the range and the work that you're showing.
Sometimes people look at you and think that's all you are, instead of letting you show what you can do.
Can we talk about Sister Act 2?
Yes.
Here's the thing. Sister Act 2 is also a miracle, okay? because sequels usually aren't great.
That's right. They're never better than the first one.
They're not. And here's the deal. Sister Act is a miracle. That movie, I remember seeing that. I was very blessed to see that movie in the movie theater, okay? And I think we all left thinking, what did I just watch? Because whatever it was good,
Yes.
okay? And then you know, you hear about the sequel, and there's a bit of a nervousness. There's a wondering,
Is it gonna be any
are we
good?
going back to get a second bite at this apple? But when you watch it, it is so grounded in a way. And also you're playing the mother to, you know, probably someone could argue one of the greatest voices, you know,
God, yes.
of a generation, Lauryn Hill.
Let me tell you something.
Please,
That scene at the piano when they're singing His Eye is on the Sparrow.
come on.
Right before that scene, before they shot that scene, I walk in and the two of them are there just singing so
Oh,
beautifully.
wow.
And I'm listening. And then
Nice.
Lauren says to me, she says, Miss Ralph, you know I'm going to make it. I'm going to be a star. And
Come on, Miss Ralph.
I love it. She's a baby. She's
Yes,
16.
I see.
And she says to me, I'm going to be a star. I'm going to make it. And I'm going to have a band. And the name of the band is Fugees. The Fugees.
Wow.
And I said to her, sweetheart, you are definitely going to be a star. You are going to make it. But I don't know about that Fugees.
A little method acting happening there. You're like, I don't know if the Fugees are gonna pay your bills, but you're great.
But you're great.
You're fantastic. What did you think when you read the script? How did it come to you? And were you apprehensive about it?
No, because once again, the director, Bill Duke, wanted me. I was really worried because I had just had Etienne. Because Etienne was very young, and you know, you always think that I've just had a baby. What am I going to look like? How am I going to handle it? How am I going to do all of these things at one time? And we were able to make it happen, and he would come to set with me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And also, I'm curious to know what you did to bond with Lauren, to make sure you two had such a real, honest, and grounded chemistry, because you do.
She and I just bonded. She was, you know, at that time, she was very close to her mom. Her mom was there on set. I would watch their dynamic. All I had to do was interact with her. It was just a good thing. All I had to do was think about my mother. My mother wasn't a villain, but when I told my mother that I was going to study acting, that I wasn't going to be a doctor or a lawyer, you're going to be an actress? Lord have mercy. You're going to use our hard-earned money. You're going to stay around those fake and phony people? No, Lord God, Jesus, no.
Wow.
When my mother did not want to come to the Tony Awards, when I got nominated and had to sit behind my father and I, but when she heard my name called from the stage as a nominee, the one Sheryl Lee Ralph, that's my daughter right there.
Wow.
That's my daughter. You know,
So you had a
understood
Florence
that.
in your life.
Exactly.
Wow.
I understood that.
Wow. Because it's such a beautiful moment when you're not delivering lines, though, when you come and sit down. And watching it again, I realized how powerful that scene was, because I think I was waiting for the famous lines, and I was, you know, almost waiting for that scene at the very end when you two talk and you hug. But that scene when she comes and sits down and is sort of humbled by her daughter's gift, I was really blown away by your performance in that moment. And I just feel like you leap off the screen every time. And that's the moment I think is also put into our memory, is this redeeming moment where she says, maybe I'm wrong. Such a beautiful performance.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
My mother was wrong. And she was so happy when we redid her house.
I'm ready to move to something I'm really excited to talk to you about. Can we talk about Moesha?
Oh.
I mean, come on. I went and I watched the pilot.
Yes.
And I remember watching that in real time. As a young Black girl, it was a big deal. The next day at school, everybody was talking about it. Dee is a stepmother.
Right.
And there's an immediate rivalry between Dee and Moesha. clearly. And we see the dynamic between you and her dad as well. You two trying to figure out, okay, how do we do this? How do we figure this out? And there's a great scene between you and her father, and another great scene between you and Moesha. What did you do to prepare for that character?
For me, that once again, that was another great experience. I remember getting a phone call from Ralph Farquhar.
Who I love
Yes.
dearly.
Ralph Farquhar has done an amazing job of putting a lot of very talented young Black and a few brown folks on
Absolutely.
in the industry.
We love him.
He was able to open a door, and he didn't close it for himself. He left it open to bring others in with him.
Absolutely.
But he called me and he said, I got your next job.
Ooh.
And I was like, okay. He says, you got to meet this kid. And I said, okay. And they set up a meeting to do a chemistry
Oh, wow. For
meeting
you
between
you and Brandy.
Brandy and I.
Another
She
great
was
vocalist of
Another
our
great
generation.
vocalist.
Come
Oh,
on.
my gosh.
Come on. The Bible.
She was
vocal
about
Bible.
14 years old, sitting up in my room.
Come on.
And that was that. You know, I remember what it was like to be young and people dislike you because you wanted to wear braids. And here now, I'm doing this show with this young woman with her braids, loving her family, missing her mother, and trying to grow up. And I said, the only thing I can do as this character, D, is love this child.
Yeah.
That was it.
It's such a great line when you say, you know, your dad loves you, your brother loves you, and
I love you.
I love you too. And I'm also curious how it felt to be in front of a live audience, finding that character with Brandy, with the rest of the cast, but also multicam is a very different schedule.
People don't understand that.
You go in, you rehearse, you do, it's like a play.
Exactly.
And so were you...
And then you got to wait the way it's shot, you know, those 4 cameras on a
Yes.
line, and you can't just give your line and then move on, which is the interesting thing because when you're on stage, you give your line, it's like throwing a ball, they catch it, they throw it back, they
Right.
throw the ball back, you catch it. When you're doing 4 camera sitcom, you throw the line, you wait for that camera to catch you.
Right.
And before you carry on to get that next line from the other person, for them to get that line from that other person. You know, that was an interesting transition for me from 4 camera acting to what we're doing now with Abbott,
Right.
which is much more like a play because those cameras are everywhere. Now, when we started doing Abbott, it came to a moment where Randall Einhorn, our director, executive producer, he said, you can do everything. So now, do nothing. Just do nothing.
Wow.
And I was like,
That's hard.
I'm an award-winning actress. You want me to do nothing? You know, I carry that with me all the time now. I carry that with me. Just not, I won't say take it down, just let it be.
Yeah.
Because you got it.
Yeah.
You can do this.
Yeah.
Now just let it be.
That's so interesting because now I'm thinking back on, obviously I've been watching you a lot, obviously these past, just in preparation for this. And I see how you're able to adapt, obviously from film to multicam to single camera work as well. And that's what I'm really noticing is that you fit into all of these different places. I'm curious to know, what would you say is something you have to know about acting on stage? What's one thing that you feel like you had and you knew that made it so you were able to survive being on stage?
I wanted to win.
You wanted to win.
I wanted to win.
Is that what you're taking with you every single time you hit the stage?
Every single time. I want to make it. I want to be here. I want to be something that, like you and me sitting here,
Yes.
the kid who watched me on TV, who's now sitting here talking with me as a woman about my journey. I wanted you to see that anything was possible for you because I've been through the fire. I see this little light here. I've been through that fire and I've made a road. I made a way, but I only took up a journey that was being built before for me. I'm literally just carrying on the road, you know? And it's like when I see you, I see Issa, I see Quinta, I'm like, look at my daughters.
Yes.
Look at my
Yes,
kids.
we're your children.
Yes, look at them.
Come on, we're your
I'm a
descendants.
good mother,
Yes,
baby.
you are.
Yes.
Mother is mothering.
Okay.
What
All
would you
of
say
that.
you need as a film actress? I'm curious because we've seen you in film and we've seen you be very grounded and very real but also very specific. What are you thinking about? Is it still that winning mentality when you step onto the set of a film?
First of all, you got to be prepared.
Right.
The number of people that come to a set not prepared, and sometimes they're not prepared because nobody prepared them.
Mm.
You know,
Mhm.
sometimes people just put people out there because of something.
Right.
And it's like, can you let them know what it is required or is expected of them? Can you help them? And then sometimes I've learned now, you don't need to help everybody.
That's right.
Because not everybody wants your help. So I always want to say to people, I'm not antisocial. I just can't be about that drama.
That's right.
I just can't. So I
No, you can't.
I stay by myself.
That's why you look so young.
You know what?
Okay.
Thank you. But another thing
yeah.
that I would say about acting is don't act.
Right.
Don't act.
Yeah.
Learn your lines. Understand the character. Now be.
Yeah.
Just go ahead and be. And when you do that, you can be anything.
Speaking of being, there was a window of time between Moesha before Abbott happened that you were working steadily and we were seeing you. You were always ever present. In between that time, I was curious, how did you continue to hone your craft while maintaining your innate confidence during those windows of time when, say, you're not going to a show every single day?
You know, there's a song in a chorus line where the character says, she's a dancer, and she says, God, I'm a dancer dances. I'm like, God, I'm an actress. An actress acts. And if they're not choosing me, then I choose me. I'm not stopping. And I wrote a one-woman show. During that time, you know, it was difficult. You know, you're divorced. You got 2 kids that you got to put into school.
2 amazing kids.
And you've got to try and make sure that their life is, you know, sometimes you get divorced and your life drops off. Everything's changed. You lose.
Yeah.
You know, you lose your relationship. You can lose your house. I've seen people lose everything out of a divorce, and I'm trying to hold it together.
Right.
And you know, it's getting scarce, and I'm afraid. And I said, I've got to act. So I write this one-woman show, and it's called Sometimes I Cry. Whew, and I was crying, baby. Woo! I was in a space.
Come on.
And I started writing these real women's stories around HIV and AIDS, real women that I knew. So I would start telling their stories on stage, and I would become all these different characters.
Wow.
People started hearing about it. I was being booked on college campuses across the country, and I was surviving. But you know what I was really doing? I was keeping myself working as an actress. I was keeping my family together. I was keeping my children feeling safe as they could be. That's what you do when they don't choose you. You choose you.
Come on. That's the bar we needed. That's why we have these conversations.
Thank you.
Because our mission is to make sure people understand not just the personality, but your process. And it's clear that your process is to continue being in the work. And I think that shows up so much in your work. Now we come to a very happy place now, which is an amazing school with amazing teachers called Abbott Elementary.
Yes.
Barbara, what was the first call? When did you get wind of it? And how did you feel after you read the pilot?
You know, it was so interesting because so many things were happening all at the same time. I had done a series for CBS called Fam. And one day on the lot, my daughter is with me, and she's walking, and she stops. She says, Mommy, that's Quinta Brunson, and you have to meet her because she's going to be somebody.
Come on,
And I'm
Ivy.
like, okay. So I meet Quinta Brunson. That's what happens.
How was that meeting? You just said
That was great. You know, I'm saying hello, and there
Yes.
she was, this tiny, wonderful little person,
yes.
you know, and my daughter had seen it because she was an internet sensation
On
with these.
BuzzFeed.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what BuzzFeed was.
That's fine. It's okay.
Right,
As
thank
long
you.
as we know it.
She knew what it was,
Right.
and she was so thrilled.
Oh, yeah.
So that time passes. There were two writers on the show, two Joes, on FAM, who go off to write another pilot. Now I have heard about another pilot that is being done at ABC, and I really want this show. So I pass on their pilot because it's about some ghosts.
Oh, okay.
So I pass.
Ghosts
on
do well
their-
sometimes. Go ahead.
I'm gonna connect
Okay.
the dots for you. So I pass on that pilot.
Okay.
After thinking about it. But then I get number 2 in this ABC pilot.
Okay.
Oh my God, I'm thrilled. I want to do it. It's gonna be great. They have this scene where my husband has done me wrong and the woman walks in and says something to me about my man, and somehow I end up jumping over the pews and it is all over the church floor. I said, I want to have that scene. Anyway, COVID happens. The day before we're about ready to roll. So, COVID dies down.
Yeah.
Guess what happens? The Ghost series gets picked up
Of course.
on CBS.
Okay.
And I passed on it. And then our show is not going to go forward. And I'm like, oh my God, I've made all these poor choices. All these poor choices.
You're doubting your instincts.
Thank
Doubting
you.
Yourself.
Thank
I don't know
you.
Why are you doing that?
I'm in that post-COVID space.
Doesn't even feel
right?
like you.
Doesn't even feel like me, doggone it.
No.
So I'm in this space of what have I done? And I get a call from Quinta Brunson,
Come on. Let's go.
who says, Miss Ralph.
Miss Ralph.
She don't call me that anymore. She just calls me
It's fine.
Cheryl.
It's
It's
fine.
fine.
No, look, it
It's
happens. Okay.
fine.
Okay.
She says, Miss Ralph, I know that you don't audition. I know you're used to people offering you things. That's your career now. I know this. But would you, meet the team and blah, blah?
I've been there before, Quinta. I know this
Okay.
conversation. You're talking to a legend. You're like, look, please, come on. I need you. We're going to make it happen.
We're going to make it happen.
Yes.
So I end up reading, not once, but twice
It's okay.
for her.
Come on.
And it was the right thing to do. Because when I got that call, I knew it was going to be great. I knew it was going to be wonderful. There was a moment during the pilot, Tyler and I looked at each other and I
Yes,
said, you
Tyler
feel
James
it, don't
Williams,
you?
come on. My guy.
Thank you. I said, you
Yes.
feel it, don't you?
He knows.
And he said, yeah.
You know too.
that's
Y'all both
it.
been on some shows that
That's
have
it.
worked.
And here we are.
Wow.
Going
Look,
into our 4th season.
come on. And it's a juggernaut. You won an Emmy for your performance, rightfully
Yeah.
so.
Another shocking moment.
Not shocking to anyone but you. Okay.
Yeah, because I was truly shocked. I was speechless.
I mean, no, well, you gave a great speech.
Thank you.
Okay. Emmy speeches are important.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I wanted to talk about was this undeniable chemistry that you have with Quinta. I think there's sort of our actual mothers that we have in our lives, and then there are women that kind of feel like our second mothers, or women that we kind of wish could have been our mother. On Abbott, I'm watching Mom, and Taraji's character is the mother Janine has. And Barbara's the mother that Janine needs. How much conversation are you guys having about what these two characters need from each other, and what you guys can do to continue to keep it fresh, funny, and it's always heartwarming too?
We don't talk much about it. We don't talk much about it. It's truly one of those experiences that is on the page. The script comes, it is there, and then when we interact with each other, something else happens.
Right.
And it's always a good something else. For me, when I look back at certain things, when I look back at the relationship I have had as an actress and as a human being with a young Brandy.
Mm-hmm.
In the formative years,
Lauryn Hill and now Quinta.
I look at a Lauryn Hill in the formative years.
Yeah.
When I look at Quinta in the formative years, I think I'm the right woman to be in the right place with these women and the characters that they play. And it has been amazing for me.
Wow.
Because I get to do what I do. Not only do I act, but I do get to mother.
Yeah.
I do get to be the person that you look at and say, okay, I get that. And all of us, we had our moments, all of us, where you bump heads and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
All of that. But it's never a bad thing, but it's always out of love and respect and growth.
It's so real. I think Etienne said something really great. He said a lot of great things yesterday when we were talking. And he said, I think she's so good at playing a mom on screen because she does it so beautifully in real life. And it's true. Last question. What would you say is the definition of a really good actress?
Oh my God. First of all, you've got to know yourself. You got to know who you are. You have to like yourself somewhere inside of all of it. You got to like yourself. You have to pay attention because I feel my ability to do different characters is I pay attention to people. I like people.
Yeah, clearly.
I watch them. You'll see yourself in a character I play.
Come on.
Because I pay attention. I'll never forget one time I was so sad, so hurt. I didn't think it was happening the way I thought it would happen. And Rosalind Cash, I met Rosalind when I was 16 years old in Jamaica, and she came for a film festival. She said to me, in talking, what do you want to be? I said, I want to be a great actress. And years later, it wasn't happening, I thought. And she said, what did you tell me you wanted to be? And I said, I want to be a great actress. She said, and that's exactly what you are. So this star thing, this celebrity thing, that's something else. But great actress, you're on your way. So don't get confused about all of those things. Really pay attention to your craft. Because a great actress, you just don't roll out of bed and become a Viola Davis. You just don't roll out of bed and become an Angela Bassett. You just don't roll out of bed and become a Halle Berry. You just don't roll out of bed and become a you.
Look, I was waiting for you to say your own name, okay? Because you do not roll out of bed and just become Miss Sheryl Lee Ralph.
Thank you.
And every quality you described, you have that and so much more.
Thank
you. You did accomplish that dream of being a really phenomenal actress. You've been mothering all of us for so long, and we're so grateful for it.
And I love my children. All of them.
You love us unconditionally.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you for this. Thank you for talking to me.
Legacy, oh legacy.